It's not working very well. Sorry. Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware. My name is Jacqueline Kairis, and I'm honored to be your worship associate today. I invite you to note your arrival here to this sacred place with a slow, deep breath, perhaps in through your nose, and expand your belly, and out, releasing your shoulders. Breathing in and out. And as you wish, continue mindful breathing during the welcome. For visual accessibility, I am a white woman with brown hair and glasses and wearing the color red. Here at First U, we strive to foster a culture of belonging, welcoming you because of your unique identity and unique spirituality. If you are new to First U, a heartfelt welcome, and please fill out a connections card and keep the pen as a gift. If you're new online, please click on the link in the chat. Overall, good ways to find out more about us is via our website, which is firstuuwilm.org. Now I'd appreciate a little help in welcoming. Please turn to the camera on the left and wave to our friends watching online. And now take some time to exchange a greeting with your neighbors here in the sanctuary. Hi, choir, love you, love. In this morning's service, we will welcome new members and focus on the future of faith. Reverend Larry asks a question: in a time when faith can often seem divisive, does faith still have a future? I was led to a question, and perhaps you'll ponder with me. In what ways is spirituality or faith a verb? How do you act out your spirituality? This morning, our spirit will be supported by our very own in-house musicians, Tracy Hall on the piano, and our adult choir is here with us. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. Good morning. I am the Reverend Larry Kears, minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. I'm a lucky guy, right? Say yes. Yes. So glad to join with you in worship today. And before we do our responsive call to worship, I want to say that there were a group of us here at the congregation yesterday that we're doing some work on looking at social change and what our role in where we are in that journey ourselves individually and as a congregation. And I want to acknowledge the people who were co-leading with me. So Julie Brewer, if they are here, Jeff Lott, Susan Boyce, and Lois Morris, right there. Would you mind standing up? So I wanted them to stand up wherever they are, because this journey has only just begun. We have wanted to look at how we go about organizing ourselves to be a presence for social justice in this world, in this community. And we recognize all of us have particular proclivities, and that together we can broaden the repertoire of response. We would particularly like to, we'll do this again, and we'd like to invite you to consider participating in this process that's focusing primarily on our social justice efforts as a congregation. So if you're interested, speak to Lois, speak to Susan during the fellowship hour today as a way for us to connect. And since I know a lot of our newer members have come here because of our, I almost said outspoken, but I'll say our outright voice for social justice at a critical time in history, I want to invite you in particular to consider joining that effort. Okay, so our responsive reading is entitled, If There Is to Be Peace by Lao Tzu. This day is recognized in a lot of places around the world as the day honoring the Declaration of Human Rights. So it's Declaration of Human Rights Sunday. And for that reason, and also for the reason that the focus of the second Sunday of Advent is the theme of peace, I'd like you to share in this call to worship with me. Your response is on the screen. So if there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. And if there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. During this service today, may you experience in even the slightest way or the grandest way that sense of peace in the heart that can emanate from us into all the places in our lives where we intersect with others. So may it be. Let's join in our worship now.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join us by lighting it while I read the words of Pat Uribe Lichty. She's a retired social worker and teacher living in Reading, Pennsylvania. She writes, "We gather to find new ways of loving, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. We gather, yes, we gather, for it is in the gathering that we find our hope." Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 124, Be That Guide. Thank you. Please join me in affirming our mission. First, First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
I am so excited to be welcoming new members today. And so I'd like those who are helping me with this to come forward, and we'll call new members up at some point during this time. So this morning, we are particularly excited about welcoming the newest members of the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. Joining me in this official welcome is Dan Chakala, a parent of two of our CYRE children, because Catherine Williamson could not join us today. She's with our children this morning. Vivian Gray, who is one of our co-presidents of our board, and Marilyn Height of our membership team. Marilyn Height, the superwoman of our membership team. Marilyn will momentarily be calling the names of our new members. When she does so, please come forward and please join us, everybody, please join us in the reception following the service as a way to welcome our new members to our congregation. In the days ahead, please take time to connect with our new members and find ways to connect them to the life and to the ministry of this congregation. As each name is called, I was going to ask some of our members to place a flower in the vase. But in my excitement about the color of these yesterday when I bought them, I didn't realize they have thorns. So I'm not going to put any of our members in danger. I will put the flowers in the vase and recognize that all of us have our own thorns, right? Right. And so we welcome your thorns here as well as you. So we want to honor the roots of this congregation founded in 1866 by an intrepid group of people who wanted to bring the message of a liberal approach to Christianity and to bring a Unitarian congregation to this area. Over the years, of course, the perspectives of this congregation have broadened into a congregation that draws from the sources of many of the world's religious traditions, literary, artistic, and scientific perspectives. Yet we are connected to the courage and to the vision of our ancestors and all of the lay and clergy leaders who have served us over the years. May we endeavor to embody our guiding Unitarian Universalist principles into practices that transform our lives, transform our congregation, and our wider society.
I have the honor on behalf of the membership team and the welcome table team to call the names of the individuals. And as I call your name, please, beg your pardon, please come forward. Lori Barber. Nick Barber. I'm multitasking. Let it go. Takes a team to hand out the pins. Mary Ellen Cadman.
You could stand right over here. Stand right there.
It was my fault for not telling them that I was going to call them forward. I'm looking to the choir, John LaFurla. Sean Matthews. Mo McKenna. Margot Pizzini. And RJ Pizzini. And their special guest, their daughter Evie, Evangeline.
Yay!
Yay! Elohim and Queen Smith and their son Kingston cannot be with us today. They're both working. Jennifer Strickland and Nick Strickland. And the picture you're seeing also shows their children, Adrian and Catherine. That's right, Evie. Judy Taggart and Bob Taggart.
So, welcome to each of you. Today, we invite you into this beloved community to enrich us with your experiences, your gifts, and your perspectives. You enrich us, and this vase of flowers symbolizes each of you and adds to the beauty of what the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is and what we will become. So we welcome you.
I want to acknowledge those among our new members who are also parents, who as a family are joining our congregation. We would like to support you in the role as the resident religious educators in your home. May you, your children, and youth find a home here to grow our souls and deepen your connection to our faith community, as my family has.
May the members of First Unitarian now stand as you are willing and able, and join by offering the welcoming words that you will find in your order of service. We welcome you as we once welcomed ourselves. We seek to be open and inclusive, respecting your inherent dignity, your ideas, your vision, in times when it is easy and in times when it is difficult. We seek to be supportive, not only when you reach out in courage to us, but also when you need us to reach out to you. We welcome you as an equal member of this congregation, of this faith, and of our shared spiritual journey.
Jennifer, welcome. Bob and Judy. Wonderful. So, congregation, please join us in just a moment as we sing our hymn 402 in the gray hymnal. The words will also appear on the screen. From you I receive. And we'll sing this to you. So now we will continue with our custom of lighting the Advent wreath. I feel fulfilled already. I don't really feel I need to do anything more. It was such a great opportunity to welcome new members, but we have some other parts of the service that we'd like to share today. So, as is our tradition, we honor the various world religious traditions, including Advent, Hanukkah, the earth-centered traditions, and others during this season. So Ruth Mehta is going to come up and light our 2 candles for Advent. And she tells me she often did this practice as a child, and she really appreciates doing this with us. Thank you, Ruth. The focus of the second Sunday of Advent is peace, and therefore I would like to offer this meditation written by my colleague Kathleen McTeague. Let's join in a posture, position, attitude of prayer and meditation as we hear these words and make them our own. This is a house of peace. Breathe in a grateful breath that you sit here this moment of your life safely and in the silence. There is a war raging far from this place of comfort. We know it is there. We know our brothers, our sisters, our siblings suffer its poisonous touch. Our hearts are weighed with what we cannot resolve. So here we lift a banner in our own souls and remember that in this place, in this moment, we are not at war. Breathe in the truth of this moment. Here is our strength, our deep well of courage. Breathing in, we rest our spirits. Breathing out, we pray for peace. May those in harm's way be safe for another day. May those who drive the engines of power be awakened by compassion. May we all hold the cup filled with courage and will that has been carried by peacemakers in long ages before us. May we drink of it deeply and be steadfast in the ways of peace. In this shared silence that follows, may we allow ourselves to sense, to feel, to imagine that quality of peace cultivated within ourselves and cultivated for the sake of being a particular kind of presence in this world. Let us do that during this shared silence. Peace, salam, shalom.
We are awakening to the sound of the mystic. We are awakening in the flowering of the heart. Everybody here melting into presence, overflowing effervescence, rising in love. Om Shanti Satchitananda. Om Shanti. Om. Om Shanti Satchitananda. Om Shanti. Om. We are awakening.
Our reading today is Where is Our Holy Church by Edwin Henry Wilson. Where is our holy church?
Where race and class unite as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right. Where is our holy writ?
Where our human heart a sacred torch of truth has lit, by inspiration taught. Where is our Holy One?
A mighty host respond, the people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy land?
Within the human soul, where free minds truly seek with character the goal. Where is our paradise?
In aspiration's sight, wherein we hope to see arise 10,000 years of right. Does faith have a future? I typically don't ask a yes or no question as the title of a sermon. After all, you might then expect a definitive answer. Today, however, I'll cut to the chase. Yes, faith has a future. And there's also a lot of confusion about what faith means. Some of that confusion occurred through some pivotal moments in the unfolding of Christianity in particular. One of those pivotal moments in the history of Christianity was actually commemorated this past week. Maybe it wasn't on your radar. Perhaps you didn't know that this past week, Pope Leo XIV, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, met with the Orthodox Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I in Iznik, Turkey, to commemorate the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea. How many of you knew that? Great. Okay, good. You are with it when it comes to church history. So you probably also have figured out that Iznik, Turkey was the site of the ancient city of Nicaea. This Council of Nicaea was called together by the Emperor Constantine in 325 in the Common Era. Here, the bishops were wined and dined by the emperor in one of his palaces, and they were given the task of hammering out what the official Christian teaching would be about Jesus' nature. How divine was he? How human was he? And therefore, what was the nature of God? I know that's a question that keeps many of you awake at night. This Council of Nicaea was a pivotal event that determined what you had to believe if you were indeed to call yourself a Christian. The contemporary scholar Elaine Pagels, in her most recent book, gives this account of the tete-a-tete. I think it was a fete-a-fete as well, that lasted about a month in 325 and was commemorated this week. Pagels writes, Emperor Constantine attending every session often found himself impatient as bishops argued over Greek philosophical terms to describe Jesus' relationship to God. After sitting through days that stretched into exhausting hours of debate over issues that Constantine actually regarded as trivial, when he finally heard what he likely thought was a majority opinion, he said, in effect, let's go with that. And to no one's surprise, nearly all 300 bishops voted in favor of the proposal that the emperor endorsed, except for an African priest named Arius, who disagreed and was abruptly dismissed from the council along with a single supporter of Arius. And after that, the council voted to consign both dissenters to eternal damnation. In the meantime, they were exiled to far reaches of the empire. Let our heart go out to them for just a moment, for being willing to speak their own truth in the midst of a consensus that was tried to be imposed on them by an emperor. Let's not forget their memory today. You see, when faith through this vote and other similar events in Christian history came to mean belief in a certain set of doctrines or creeds, this confusion about faith got set up. Our confusion got set up. Many of us have fallen sway to this confusion. For many of us, we have tended to identify having faith with having a particular set of beliefs. And if we don't have those beliefs, or we don't have those beliefs any longer, we assume that we simply just don't have faith. As Harvey Cox, the Hollis Professor of Divinity Emeritus at Harvard Divinity School, conveys in his book, The Future of Faith, he points out that during the first 3 centuries of Christianity, how many years is that? 300 years. There was a lot of theological variety, a lot of spiritual fellowship, and there was a decidedly anti-imperial stance. Oh my, how far they traveled in those 300 years. All of that changed in what Cox calls the Age of Belief from the 4th to the 20th century. It is during that period that faith became identified with creeds and correct doctrine. The imperialization of the church under Constantine also resulted in a church structure that glorified bishops and resulted in widespread ecclesiastical corruption. According to Harvey Cox, as he relates his own experience as someone who grew up in the Baptist religion and gradually came to unravel from this confusion about faith and belief, he shares that during my adult life, various experiences continued to nudge me along the path. By many encounters with the followers of other religions, especially Buddhists and Hindus, taught me that beliefs in the way that we use the word were not part of their vocabularies. In fact, none of the other major world religions has a creed. Even Islam, a close cousin of Christianity, only expects its followers to affirm that there is no God but God and Muhammad is his messenger. In all of these traditions, religion means something quite different than attaching credence to doctrines. My marriage to a Jewish woman, Cox writes, and with it an unusual opportunity to participate as a fellow traveler in the liturgies and holidays and food of her tradition, taught me things I had never known about her faith and things that I had never realized about my own. Jesus, after all, was a rabbi. Jews always say their religion is best understood not as a creed, but as a way of life. Slowly, it dawned on me that the same is true of my religion. The earliest term used to describe it in the New Testament is the way. Once I realized, Cox says, that Christianity is not a creed and that faith is more a matter of embodiment than of axioms, things changed. As a Christian, Cox begins to understand an important message in the Gospel of Matthew 25, in which Jesus insisted that those who are welcomed into the kingdom of God, those who were those who were clothing the naked, feeding the hungry, and visiting the prisoners. They were not believers, and were not even aware that they had been practicing the faith he was teaching and exemplifying. Here, faith is attributed to right action, not right belief. Following me? But an emperor needs conformity of belief if he was going to rule this church. The emperor needed agreement among the bishops that he had wined and dined for almost a month in his palace if he was to know who to include and who to exclude in his vastly growing imperial church structure. This assertion of faith with a particular set of beliefs has asserted itself again and again in Christianity. It was reinforced with the rise of fundamentalism in the United States in the early 20th century. Fundamentalism was a reaction to particular cultural and social forces, and I quote from an article about this. Some of those concerns stem from broad changes in the culture, such as a growing awareness of world religions, the teaching of human evolution, and above all, the rise of biblical higher criticism, looking at biblical text in their human and social context as a way to understand what they meant in their context. The last proved particularly troubling because it implied the absence of the supernatural and the purely human authorship of Scripture. Social changes of the earliest 20th century, this article says, also fed the flames of protest. Fundamentalists felt displaced by the waves of non-Protestant immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe flooding America's cities. They believed they had been betrayed by American statesmen who led the nation into an irresolved war with Germany, the cradle of that destructive biblical criticism. They deplored the teaching of evolution in public schools, which they paid for with their taxes, and they resented the elitism of professional educators who seemed often to scorn the values of Christian families. End of quote. Perhaps, you are making the connection between those times and our times? Yes. We have seen this tide of fundamentalism rise again and again in American history. Not merely a religious movement, but a social one that has tried to influence what is taught in our schools, what laws get passed, who's considered deserving of human dignity and rights, and who isn't. So perhaps when we think about the Council of Nicaea 1,700 years ago, we might also recognize that Emperor Constantine was, as some argue, the first Christian nationalist. Poor Constantine. He could care less about what the bishops agreed upon, just that they established one creed and one church that he could then rule. When Constantine blurted out, "Let's go with that," his statement had a resounding effect and resonances across history. It's up to us today to be savvy about our own traditions and what led to our distinct note as Unitarian Universalists in the chorus of religious ways of being. We are part of a tradition, for example, of New England Congregationalists who, when they covenanted together as a congregation to form a church body, they did not do so around a set of specific beliefs. Instead, they agreed to, quote, walk together, embodying certain qualities, embodying a certain way of being in the world. Conrad Wright, who I studied with, he was the UU history professor at Harvard, wrote in his book, Walking Together, about this way of religion that defines our UU communities. Thus, he writes, very early in our history as a separate religious body, we insisted that creedal statements are not the proper basis for religious fellowships. More than that theological diversity is not only to be tolerated, but to be embraced as a good thing. This attitude, deeply rooted in our past, is part of our definition of what we stand for and hence who we are. We assert the right and duty of each one of us to adhere to her or his understanding of religious truth, and we accept the obligation to respect one another, even if we do not always agree. Some of us may be theists, some humanists. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. Some may cherish Christian symbols and definitions of the human condition. Others may find that the Christian tradition no longer speaks to them. We believe deeply in the capacity of men and women of goodwill to walk together in religious fellowship, despite such doctrinal differences. It is a deeply held conviction that it is possible to respect and even love our companions despite theological disagreements. That was Conrad Wright. So I would say that because we don't have a particular set of beliefs that we require everyone to ascribe to, doesn't mean that we don't have faith. We will always be a faith that can walk together despite theological disagreements. We will always be a faith that does not collude with imperial power, even attempts at imperial power in this day. I'll drink to that. We will always be a faith that emphasizes how we live, a faith that is embodied in how we choose to show up in the world, not just what we say about it. What I appreciate about this congregation's mission that we recite each Sunday is that it is not mere words when you listen to them. We say, First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. Our commitment couldn't be clearer, in my opinion. But what makes it clear is not that it's a set of beliefs about ourselves. No. What makes our commitment crystal clear is that each time we embody it, it becomes real. It becomes a commitment. Our words alone don't make that happen. Can I hear an amen? Certainly, it expresses our aspirations, and it also expresses what we can find to be evidence-based when we look around at what we're actually doing day to day, week to week in this congregation, right? Yes? What are some examples of that? Ilya, Emmanuel Dining Room. Writing to our politicians and thanking them. Social justice action, environmental justice action. You, the vote. So, I'm surprised to hear you say that, Dan. Supporting UUSC. What was this, something about the vote? You, the vote, I think I heard, yeah. No King's protests, yes, okay. We could go on. Mission means where we are sent in the world. I thank my Latin teacher for that etymology. How we commission ourselves day to day. Mission means what we are willing to commit ourselves to do. What we commit ourselves to do, not just talk about. Our vision, therefore, is the visible results that arise from our living out this commitment over time. Vision is what we can see as a result of our efforts, of our commitments. It's tangible, and we can describe what we see, what we feel lured by, and feel challenged by. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It was G.K. Chesterton who said, just going to church doesn't make you a Christian, just as standing in a garage makes you a car. Let me repeat that. Just going to church doesn't make you a Unitarian Universalist, just as standing in a garage makes you a car. We go to church, we join this congregation to build our faith in the company and the encouragement of others who are not content with anything less than orienting our lives toward the values that we seek to embody, honing ourselves to the practices of being a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. The British Unitarian Stephen Lingwood offers this insight about faith that I resonate, and it pairs well with my sermon last week, Morsels of Hope. He writes, why do we need faith? For the simple reason that we must live. We must get up in the morning and go about our business with some sense that there is meaning and purpose to life. In some broad sense, we all must have faith, otherwise we would be spiritually paralyzed in life, unable to see any purpose to get out of bed and getting on with life. James Fowler, the great scholar of faith development, defined faith in this way. Faith is a person or a group's way of moving in the force field of life. It is our way of finding coherence and giving meaning to the multiple forces and relations that make up our lives. Faith is a personal way of seeing him, a person's way of seeing him or herself in relation to others against a background of meaning and purpose. We will always be a faith that joins with other faith traditions, as our ancestors who did not believe in the Trinity joined with Jews and Muslims in Spain and elsewhere to stand upon a common holy ground, even with differing rituals and customs. We will always be a faith which, like our ancestor James Martineau, a Unitarian minister, did not believe that the incarnation of the body of the holy occurred in only one man and in only one time. Instead, we know that within each of us, there is the possibility of an incarnation of love, an incarnation of healing, an incarnation of liberation and transformation awaiting us at each moment's response. And we will always be a faith, as UU religious educator Sophia Lon Foz declared, it matters what we believe. And so I'll share some of her verses here to conclude. She writes, some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. May we be part of embodying and creating that way of wider and deeper sympathies among ourselves and in this wider world that wants to narrow our capacity to be as responsive and open and imaginative as we're meant to be as human beings. So may it be.
At the beginning of the service, I asked you to ponder with me, how do you act out your spirituality? When asking myself this question, I thought of a story. In my field of work, as a mental health counselor, I have to take 30 credits of continuing education every 2 years. There are certain topics that are mandatory for us to review. One is ethics. My favorite ethics presenter, who has 40 years of experience and multiple postgraduate degrees, disclosed to the 200 people in the audience that she is guided by 2 words. I leaned forward. She said, "Be kind." She went on to say, when you're faced with a new complex ethical situation, it's in the moment, later surely you'll reach out to your resources, such as contacting your consultation group, and be guided by 2 words: be kind. Beyond work, to life, to my spirituality, those 2 words resonate with me. How about if I tend to be kind to others as well as to myself? How do I accomplish that? Do I simply smile? No. Say yes all the time? No. Am I passive? No. It helps to start if I turn my attention to others and the world around me. For example, if I look around my family, just at home, start there. There are needs. Maybe someone in your home is not well, so their typical household jobs need to be picked up for a while. Okay. If I extend that to my community, I know that food banks have low resources, and I respond accordingly. And so on into the world. If I'm aware of racism, xenophobia, sexism in my presence, any sort of demeaning actions toward a group that's different or vulnerable, I use my voice and my actions to fight that. Is it easy? No. Do I mess up? Yes. And that's where being kind to myself comes in. Ongoing practices are helpful, such as compassion, lifelong learning, and gratitude. Something trying can come in, such as someone you dearly care about is ill. Some of those things that are out of your control. then I pray. Here at First U, I can act out my faith. If I'm feeling low, I know that this is a safe place to seek support. Otherwise, I act faith out with gratitude and for attention to others by pushing myself to learn and grow by participating in social justice. I am grateful for this place where the opportunities abound. With that in mind, this is the time to make an offering to this church as you are able. During the offertory music, there will be a slide showing how to make that gift, from putting your cash or check in the offering plate when it is passed here in the sanctuary, or mailing it in or contributing online. And thank you. I invite the ushers now to come forward. And please join me in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Let this be a house
Beautiful. Thank you, adult choir. If you've lit a chalice, please join us in extinguishing it as I read these words. They're written by Reverend Tandy Rogers. She lives in California with her wife and their teenage son. May you choose hope, even when it trembles. May it be the kind of hope that plants seeds, waits in the dark, and trusts the stirring. Hope that doesn't deny despair, but dares to outlast it.
So before our benediction and closing hymn, I want to thank all of those who helped create and form this service. Tracy, our choir, wonderful way to nurture and lift our spirits. Thank you. For the people behind the scenes, I have to squint, Stephanie and Cinda, Mitch and John, for helping to share this word with the wider world. Ruth, thank you for lighting our candle, Advent wreath. And thank you, Jacqueline, for that wonderful testimony at the end, which made me realize that faith does have a future if we continue to embody it, embody our values at each juncture in our everyday life. Thanks for modeling that so clearly. Our benediction. Oh, don't forget, join us for the wonderful reception for new members in the fellowship hall. It'll be a tasty, nourishing event. So Theodore Parker, words that we heard earlier today, reminded us of this. Be ours a religion with light, which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. So join together, rise as you are in body or spirit, and we'll sing Faith of the Larger Liberty, Gray Hymnal number 287, also will appear on the screen.